So I want to tell you a story about a referral that I got the other day from an out of area agent who had a client that went to him who was really frustrated. So the story is she owned a property, an income property, for years. The tenant had moved out, and instead of just throwing it back on the market dated, she decided to renovate it and make it great again. So she hired a contractor, she paid the money, the work started, and then things went sideways. So from what I can tell from what she was dealing with, the job just stalled. The workmanship definitely questionable, and she was left with a unit that was torn apart instead of improved. So now she had spent money, lost time, and had a property that was not finished at all the way that she'd expected to, and it was just awful for her. So because when you're trying to do the right thing by a property, the last thing that you want is to be left standing in drywall dust, just wondering how everyone involved became allergic to accountability. Like, it's brutal. So when we met, we talked about the reality of it all, not the dream price that she was really banking on, because that's not where we were. Plus, the market has shifted from when she began this process too. So the actual market is what we talked about. We looked at what the current listings were, what the recent sales were, what buyers were going to be comparing this to. We talked about the condition of it and the risk, the unfinished work, and how to get that buyer confidence that this is going to be a good purchase, even though it was a lot of work that needed to be done on the buyer's part because she wasn't interested in taking that on. So she, in the end, wanted to list a lot higher, and I understand why. I get it. She'd owned it for years. She'd put money into it over those years, and she had been really disappointed by the renovation process that it didn't happen. So she wanted to make the final number, make the headache worth it, if you know. So my job is not to tell somebody what they want to hear. I'm just not going to do that. My job is to tell them the truth that is grounded in reality and data, and to build a strategy that gives the property the best chance that it has to sell and sell well. So we listed it, after explaining everything that I felt was right, below where she wanted it to be for sure. I didn't feel like we were giving it away. I felt like it was the best strategy. And it's not because I didn't believe in the property. It's because I wanted to create urgency, and I wanted serious buyers quickly, because I wanted to get her out of this property that was causing her so much stress. If we listed high, it was going to sit. We would be looking at price reductions. We wouldn't have buyers through either. So she was disappointed with the number at first. And you know what? That's fair. But nobody throws a party because their realtor tells them to list lower than what they hoped, right? There were no balloons for that conversation. But she respected the strategy because it was backed by data, it was backed by my experience, and it was backed by real life things that had happened currently. So that's where we were. We launched. And I was very clear about the opportunity in the marketing. I was realistic about who the right buyer is. I put everything on the table, and it worked. Showings came in fast. And by day 5, the offers started coming in too. I ended up with 5 offers and sold firm. And it sold for the number that she'd hoped for. So that's the part people miss. The list price is not the sale price. The list price is the strategy. And in this case, pricing it correctly created competition. And that competition created confidence. And that confidence created a firm sale. So my client got the outcome that she wanted way quicker than she thought. She thought we were going to be battling this for months. After a bad contractor experience and a really stressful process for her, a property that could have been really easily mishandled, she walked away with ecstatic. And that's why strategy matters. This real estate game, if you will, that we play is not about putting a sign on the lawn and waiting for the internet to perform a miracle. That's a joke. This is knowing the market. This is reading that buyer psychology and understanding the risk of whatever property you're dealing with. It's having the guts to guide the client in truth before the market guides you. So if you are in a tough situation and the money matters and you want to mitigate your risk and you want to make sure that your property is sold to the right buyer, because that matters too, give me a call. I do this day in and day out. right? I help people make important decisions when the money matters, and the bad decision could cost you tons. So let's chat.